How you doing today, man?
Great. I went up the hill again today. You got me all inspired for more intense workouts.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's like it's an underrated thing about what we do that I actually remember talking to a couple of friends of mine who were professional poker players, and these jobs where you're doing a lot of sitting and a lot of being in the same place. It's really an underrated thing to be in good shape. Because if you're in good shape, you can sit for longer, you can focus more, even though the job itself doesn't have a lot of athleticism in the action of the job. To be in good shape is really good. As I'm sure you would agree.
I have to highly consider my back, so this is definitely going to help with that. But I went to Palm Springs this weekend for a quick little getaway with Niku. It was really nice. And on the way there, I drove the car the whole way there, and I got there with a lot of back pain. But on the way back, I let the Tesla drive me all the way back. We got back completely on autopilot until the exit to the Arts District. So I didn't have to hit the gas pedal, or the pedal, not the gas pedal. And my back was great when I arrived back. So I'm like, I have a self-driving car, so my back doesn't hurt. But I still want to strengthen it through exercise.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, like the things that people don't talk about record making is how much you just sit. And, we talk about I'm stoked to mix today after my exercise, right? Yeah.
After this, I'm going to jump right in, and my energy is so high right now from sweating earlier and just a little bit more intense. I think my normal cardio, riding the bike around the hood, was good too, and it was just a bit more of a chill thing. With maybe I'll alternate, but giving all you got going uphill on the bike or sprinting like we did, it's hard to call it sprinting on the bike. I don't know what the name of this would be. Just high intensity hill on a bike, just like digging in, standing up, and anyway, I'm feeling really good because of that, to be honest, and a refreshing break in Palm Springs.
Nice, man. Yeah, and we've talked about this before on some of these live streams. There's all kinds of technical stuff that people can talk about, but I really think the important stuff is the philosophical approach and making sure you're taking breaks, making sure your mental health is good, making sure your physical health is good. I think that's the most important stuff that people don't talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so interested in talking about that because it's new to me at 34. I would say the last couple of years is the first time I really cared about all that other stuff. I guess most of the time was getting that technical and creative aspect under my thumbs, for lack of a better term, and kind of having that go under the radar and just exist because that's what we do now. And now I'm focused on taking care of myself. So I think if people can get there a little sooner than I did, that's probably the best advice that I can even give on a talk like this. It's like maybe do it 5 years before I did.
What was the thing that got you into thinking about things outside of the technical, that got you into, I want to take care of my physical health and mental health and my psychological approach?
Well, just new knowledge that diet was so important, not only for loss of weight. If that's a big part of it for engineers. There's a lot of engineers that are overweight. We sit in a chair all day. We eat shitty food. That was something about maintaining a healthy weight, but realizing the effect that it can have on your brain. And I think that was kind of relatively new within the last 5-10 years. Science was getting deeper into that. Specifically for me was the ketogenic diet. Before it was a fad diet and all over Whole Foods and every other grocery store. Spider and I were doing it about 5 years ago, and after a month of adaptation, or what they call fat adaptation, my brain just completely changed, and my level of focus lasted substantially longer at a high level. So for someone that's pretty ADD, or I thought I was, that kind of changed when I realized I wasn't having insulin spikes up and down. So I could last longer, not to say that, going back to last week, we talk about breaks, maybe 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. I'm not saying don't take breaks, but in that time where you have to go that 2 hours to hit that deadline, it's giving you extra bandwidth. So nutrition affecting my performance. I always go back to a story with Spider that he was living with me at the time when we first started doing this diet together. I think for a month or two, he was staying with me at the gift shop here. And I think I mixed 7 songs in one day. And I said it to him, I was like, dude, I just did 7 songs. He's like, I'm pretty sure you just adapted and you're in keto. Like, it was just, all of a sudden there's a different glow. So that's really what got me turned on to it like 5 years ago of, I can maximize my output and performance via diet. And then exercise kind of, I mean, I've always been, I played sports when I was younger, and I've always been hip to exercise, but that interplay with diet is probably within the last 5 years. But I'm not really a heavy, intense guy. Like, I don't like grunt at the gym. That wasn't always my thing, but I do lift weights. Like, now I'm realizing that after kind of hanging out with you, and this is only a week and a half old, that I think the most benefit I've gotten is in the past 2 weeks of more of kind of being more explosive than like even this morning after going up the hill a bunch, I came back and I had some free weights, and I did, I guess, what you were calling compound movements. I didn't do like single, curl things. I was doing full body from bottom to top. And, I was doing more, and I can feel different muscle groups engaging versus just the one that you would normally do, or that a lot of people are taught. So just that's really recent, and I want to go deeper into it.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked in past chats about counterbalances to things that you do to getting, whether it's, you're a mixer, but you're also a chef, and there's something about cooking, and it's a different part of the brain, but there's something that overlaps with it. It's kind of a nice counterweight to the mixing thing. And given how much we all sit around, I mean, there's certainly a sedentary lifestyle for a lot of people that are engineers, but even those of us that were super skinny kids, I still had back problems too. Because again, you're just sitting around and sleeping on couches and hustling and all that kind of shit. Or
not sleeping at all.
Not sleeping at all. Yeah.
Napping
sleeping poorly on couches. Having a fitness routine, even whether it's yoga, whether it's a little bit of jogging, whether it's sprinting a hill, riding a bike, just something, stretching. I mean, stretching is hugely important. You sit in one position in a chair all day, and there's certain hip muscles that get all tightened up. And that stuff will actually make you a much better record maker.
Yeah, exactly. And you're sitting at the computer and you think that your neck is hurting, but the neck pain is coming from tension in the lower back or the quads, or so. It's coming from somewhere else. The neck isn't really the culprit here. So understanding that and finding out where that access point is to relieving that pain from stretching, there's so much to go down to simply sit in front of a computer and last all day and not get frustrated. Because the minute you feel uncomfortable, that's going to affect your, the way you communicate, right? With your client, with the artist, with whoever it is. And you never want that. You never want something that you're feeling negatively, that you're so unaware of, you're not examined enough in how you're supposed to feel in that moment, and you take it out on a client, you might never get the call back, right? So when I talk about maximizing productivity, output, performance, it's also communication and not being frustrated when, yesterday was a very frustrating day on a mix. Something I really like a project I really like, but it's 15 versions in, and most of the notes aren't even mix notes. They're arrangement notes. They're just out of my jurisdiction theoretically. But because we're so far in, to change the arrangement, I'm not going to remix the song that's already been approved. Now there's 3 different features on the song. We've gone through. 2 of them are making it, but there's a version that has 1 feature on it. The version that has 2. A version that has 1 feature with the backgrounds of the second. It's just so frustrating. But Josh, my assistant, and I stayed so focused over the past few days. Him while I was in Palm Springs, and then me when I got back, right? I didn't once get frustrated with the client. I got frustrated with the whole idea that this was even happening, and that's not what I'm getting paid to do. But that's for me to figure out and me to absorb and take in, not to project back and reflect onto them, because this is what they think needs to be done, or this is what needs to be done for them. So I have to make sure that I am nourished and I'm not hangry. And I did my routine, so I took care of myself in the morning before it's time to take care of them, right? So that's why this all matters. We've talked about nutrition a lot. I take that very seriously. I do think that a lot of people can exist at the highest level despite all of that and eat fast food all the time. I'd argue I don't know if they can do that into their 50s, 60s, 70s and on, but maybe now they can. So I'm not saying this is one size fits all. No diet is one size fits all in general, and no routine is one size fits all. But to model a version of what could be, routine is completely, I would say, the most important part of my creative process.
Yeah, and I think at the very least, everyone should explore those things, because diet, exercise, those things affect your performance. What we do or what other people do may not work for you, but something's going to be optimal for you.